Edition of Hot Mike here on this Thursday morning. We'll get you updated on what's going on locally. Plus, we'll get ready for Brawl the Wild Part 2. Hot Mike starts now.
Hot Mike with Dom Izzo.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything in here on this monitor.
I like what Dom's doing.
Okay. Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. It was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mike.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something. Is up.
Coach Dom Izzo, WDAY in Fargo, North Dakota.
Can you give me a layup or something?
Hot Mike. Presented by Northwestern Mutual.
That program is second to none.
On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo.
Good Thursday morning. Welcome to the, I don't know if you can see outside edition of Hot Mike on WDAY Extra. KSFL TV. You're wondering probably what's going on in Sioux Falls. KNBN in western South Dakota. I'm sure you're in the same boat. And all parts in between at Inforum.com. Happy Thursday, everybody. That one shot we just had from Grand Forks probably explains exactly what is happening today. It is nasty in the northern part of the valley, and it's apparently getting worse. According to our newsroom now, Altru Hospital up there is running on generators right now. That tells you exactly how serious the situation is. They're telling us that everything running as normal. Person they talked to on the phone said there are a couple of other buildings out in the area. Again, Altru still running on generator. That was at 8:30 this morning, so about a half hour ago. So just if you don't need to go anywhere, don't today. If you're looking for a game that's happening, they ain't. There's none happening here around the area because last night it happened. You know, our phones go off. We live in Moorhead, and they canceled about 9 o'clock last night, and it was bam, bam, bam. Fargo was done, and West Fargo was as well. Now, you just saw the shot downtown where that looks moderately peaceful right now, and even just looking outside here out the window, that doesn't look too intimidating right now. The wind is not to be trifled with. For those that are coming from open areas, that is for real. I can just tell you that. And just past experience driving on this, I'll tell you a quick story. This is at least 15, 16 years ago. I was going to Jamestown for the old DAC 10 basketball championship game. I think Jamestown was playing Minot. Then I left on a Sunday. It was a Sunday afternoon. This is before we had the two shows. We just had our 10 o'clock on Sunday, so you could go and do this. Anyway, I looked just out my window where at my old apartment I lived at. It looked just like, honestly, today. There was either little to no snow coming down. It was windy. It's North Dakota. I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to go. You know, we're counting on us going to get out there. And it was top 3 worst decisions ever made work-wise because it was bad. And I got to Castleton, and like, all right, and I pulled over at the first exit there for people that know that travel on 94, you know what I'm talking about. And I'm like, well, it can't be. It's going to get better, so let's. I'm going to keep going. And I got to Valley City, and that we're talking skating rink now. If you're talking open area, the wind's blowing, and it's bad. It's white knuckle here, and I'm driving our old, those old rollers, Santa Fe, the Hyundai Santa Fe. If anybody knows what those are, like a little roller skate of a car. And I got to Valley City. I'm like, all right, well, I've come this far. We got to keep going. And that was horrendous because from Valley City to Jamestown on this particular Sunday, it was about as bad as I've seen it. And this includes our trip back from Sioux Falls in the Summit League basketball tournament a couple years ago, where the wind combined with the ice was literally pushing cars. I've never seen this before and haven't seen it since. Pushing cars into the ditch in front of me. I'm like, somehow I got to the game. The game started at 3. I think I got there. I missed the first half, right? Ended up getting to the great Jamestown Civic Center and shot the second half. And Minot State ended up winning the game on a buzzer beater, as all things, right? And the game gets done. I get reaction. I got to still drive back, and now it's dark out. And at this point, I don't think anybody at the station knew I was either working or alive. Nothing. Because no one had seen me yet. And by the time, unbelievably, it actually was somewhat, quote-unquote, better on the way back. I pulled into the station parking lot about 8:30, and the anchors at the time, good friend Rob Kupek was doing weather at the time on the weekends. We didn't even know where you were. I'm like, well, could have been lost out there for days. I don't know if anybody would have found me, but that's the kind that you're seeing out right now. If we could take that one shot of downtown, you can clearly tell. I mean, that looks moderately like, yeah, it doesn't look too bad. But the wind is no joke right now. And I'm sure because there's probably a lot of parents out there wondering why the heck, is my kid not at school today? For those that have to go in open areas, man, it is not good. So we'll have any updates coming along. We'll pass them on. But if you're looking for any sort of local sporting event, they're off today. I know we were supposed to have a couple of games of the week tonight. Those are not happening as well. So just a little FYI here to start. Also, an FYI, Bison women's basketball team is pretty darn good. I'd love you to show the highlights of what they did yesterday in Malibu, but as I mentioned, apparently they're in the Bermuda Triangle of trying to get games streamed. There are 2 games in Florida they played over Thanksgiving were not streamed. Yesterday's game wasn't either, but it doesn't mean it didn't happen. And the Bison won again as they destroyed UT Rio Grande Valley. Handled them easily. Final score was 82-60. Carrington Asp had her best game in her young career, going for 22 points and 12 rebounds. The 6th straight, let me say that again, 6th straight double-double for Avery Coonan. She went for 11 points and 10 rebounds. Marissa Frost got into double figures. The Bison now have won 8 games in a row here, folks. They are 10-2 on the season. I think it's time now between Bison women are 10-2. The Bison men are 10-3. I'm not a great math mind. I believe that combines to 20-5 of what they have done so far this year. Now, I'm sure some of you are still in the doldrums on the football team's loss. I get it. I think you'd sense it when Grant Olson was here in studio with us yesterday. But you're going to have a little bit of time here. Neither team is going to play at home for a bit. The Bison women are not back till the 29th. The men are back on the 31st. Here is your full PSA on this, and we're going to have both Dave and Jory on between now and the first of the year, just to say, get off your keisters and go see these teams play. And you got no reason not to now, because both of them are pretty darn good. Both have a shot. Let's say it here on December the 18th, a week out from Christmas. Both have a shot to make the NCAA basketball tournament. That might sound preposterous, especially on the women's side, considering the Jackrabbits haven't lost to a Summit League team in 3+ years. But SDSU is good. I don't know if they're as good as they have been. Bison seem like they're all right. We'll find out once we cross the first of the year. But at least what they've handled in the non-conference, they have done it with relative ease. Their 2 losses came to Gonzaga, who's awfully good, and Nebraska. Last time we checked, they're awfully good as well. And frankly, they were in the Husker game for a majority of that. They haven't lost since the middle of November, was it 16th? So that's over a month that they've gone without a loss. 8 consecutive victories. Congrats to Jory's team. They are traveling back, so we won't have Jory today. We will next week, I believe on Christmas Eve, ? I believe we're going to have Jory on the show to discuss the play and getting ready for Summit League play, because, man, they're humming right now. So congrats to them. The Timberwolves, though, on the other side. Now, there is some breaking Wolves news. Let's share that right away before we show last night, because this will temper what went down last night. Sham Charania from ESPN reporting this morning that the Timberwolves and Kevin Garnett are finally reuniting. Shams reports that KG is going to be back with the Wolves and the Lynx in a new all-encompassing role involving business, community efforts, and content development, sources tell ESPN. His long-awaited number 21 Wolves jersey retirement will also happen in Minnesota. This is so long deserving, and we thought, obviously, when Glenn Taylor owned the team, it wasn't going to happen. Whatever, how much bad blood had existed between the two, it had gotten to a point where it was just nasty. So the fact that A-Rod and Mark Lowry now own the franchise, and this was bound to happen. Now, can they have him retired? It's probably going to be in the Trees jersey, which they made their most mark. But if it could be in the original, the throwbacks with number 21, I would pick one of those up. That's pretty cool news there. That takes aside what happened last night, because the Wolves were playing Memphis at home without John Morant, who are not great. Wolves were without our guy, Anthony Edwards. Didn't seem to matter early on. Dante DiVincenzo, the no-look to Jaden McDaniels. Wolves are up 9. Let's move to the third. Jaren Jackson, man, remember how good he was a couple years ago in that playoff series. Grizzlies now have taken a 5-point lead. Now we go to the fourth. Nas misses. Julius Randle takes it away. He slams it home. Now it's a 3-point Memphis lead. They're up to, this guy was amazing, Jock Landale, who is hitting threes. Grizzlies are up 5. Next possession, Dante takes it away. Little lob to Rudy for the hammer. Wolves are back within 3 at this point. Over a minute to go. Here's this guy. It's just they're leaving him wide open. Landale, the corner 3 is good. He had 20 and 10 off the bench. And Memphis beats Minnesota 116 to 110. Gross. Grizzlies, as you see, I know they've won 7 of their last 9. Thanks for that on the graphic, but they're under 500. No, Ant, I have to assume with Minnesota getting ready to play Oklahoma City coming up on Friday that maybe they were saving them for that game, but just leaves a bitter taste in your mouth. And that's a game they had been so good against the teams that were under 500 prior to that. Just not a great performance last night. That it totally flipped on Minnesota last night. So day off today, and then as we mentioned, OKC, who have only lost twice all season long, coming up tomorrow night. By the way, I got an email in, Dom. Make sure, we got it coming up in What to Watch on the South Dakota State women. They have Duke tonight at Cameron Indoor Stadium. We'll have that on What to Watch. And then they have Texas coming up on Sunday. That is not playing – that's not like playing St. Mary's and Rio Grande Valley. That is big-time competition. Tip of the hat to AJ. We talked about that with him when we were at Sioux Falls at Summit League Media Day. Like, yeah, they're playing – it's no scrubs who they have on the schedule. That Texas might win the whole thing this year. Yeah, that's a step up there. We'll feature that coming up later on in the program. Last thing before we set things up. Here we are now as the Bison offseason has been now almost 2 full weeks. We've had 1 player departure that we know of so far. Now we have our first coaching departure. Will Johnson, the cornerbacks coach at North Dakota State, is moving on. He'll be leaving for the University of Central Florida to take the defensive backs position there. Will has been the corners coach for the last 2 seasons. Came here after being a GA at the University of Southern California. Prior to that, he was in the same role at the University of Oklahoma, where he was coached by one Jamar Cain, who vouched for him in the biggest way possible. And Will turned into a really, really good coach. I visited with him briefly last night. You could tell how much Fargo has meant to him over the last couple of years, and frankly developed some tremendous players on the back end of the Bison defense. You look, Anthony Shadime Alfaro, who came in as a transfer from Cornell, became a really good player. Jaquise Alexander just blew up this year completely to the role of the fact that he became the shutdown corner. Jalen Duffy was selected as an all-league second-team player at the cornerback spot. Marcus Shepard had his best year as a Bison last season when Will got here. And frankly, you look at the depth that the Bison have been able to develop on the back end, been really darn good. Here's the thing that really will hurt. Johnson has emerged as a premier recruiter. When you look at the incoming 2026 class, the Bison hammered the cornerback spot. Deron Russell out of Waseca, when he was with us on our signing day show a couple weeks ago. Biggest reason he said why he signed, Will Johnson was a big part of that. Kobe Russell, cornerback out of Prescott, Wisconsin. Why did he sign? Said a big reason was Will Johnson and his ability to connect there. So that leaves a hole. Now, what does Tim Polasek do here? That's the intriguing part. I think fans saw or recognized over the past year that Marcus Williams had joined the staff as a assistant, learning the ropes to see if he wanted to go down to that. Do I think he gets it? That's intriguing. I don't know if he is, what's the right word, gone through enough of the ropes to get a position job, because you heard it with Johnson, who was a GA at a couple of spots for multiple years before getting his first position job at NDSU. That, it takes a bit. Marcus frankly hasn't done that yet, so that to me would be, I don't know if you can leapfrog that. I don't know. That to me would seem like you may have to do a couple of steps before getting that position. So we'll see. Officially, Marcus was labeled as a defensive analyst. I don't know if you have to be a QC before you move up to the next job, but there's an open spot on the Bison football staff for 2026. Tim's had to hire now Cody Morgan. He hired to replace Nick Gazer. He hired Sam O'Jury to replace the open spot created by Jake Landry when Landry left to go to Iowa State. He was also the running backs coach, remember, along with OC. As they moved Dan Larson from offensive line to OC, they hired Dylan Chimura to take over as the offensive line coach. And obviously with Randy Hedberg retiring after last year as well. So, been a shakeup after each year now as head coach, and we'll see what comes of that. Polisek's been a busy man, which we'll get to coming up in our next segment. We got a lot to get to here on a busy, snowy Thursday show. Our guest lineup today is brought to you by Northwestern Mutual. Coming up at 9:35, Kyle Grooms will join us in the Missouri Valley Football Conference, the CEO. His first year almost wrapped up. I'm not sure if he's going to Philadelphia. We'll ask him about that. There is one Valley team still standing. Illinois State will play in Philadelphia on Saturday night against Villanova. We'll chat with Kyle about year one of his work in the Missouri Valley and what he's taken from that. Last time we saw Kyle, I believe, was in Terre Haute, giving me a weather update when the game was stopped because of thunder and lightning. That's coming up at 9:35. At 10 o'clock, the commissioner of the Big Sky, Tom Wistrcill, will be back with us. If you've heard, there's a football game on Saturday that, frankly, has more demand than any of the CFP games going down. And I understand the stadium is a third of the size of Autzen Stadium or of Kyle Field at Texas A&M, but that doesn't diminish how big it is between Montana and Montana State. We'll preview that with Tom coming up at 10 o'clock. And at 10:35, Sam Goetzinger will join us as well. Sam was supposed to be calling a game tonight, so now I believe his holiday vacation can officially begin. We'll get ready for that with Sam coming up at 10:35. That and a heck of a lot more here on a busy Thursday morning. We're just getting started. We come back. Bison football still busy adding players to the class of 2026. You'll meet the newest commit when Hot Mike returns on a Thursday morning. We're back after this. All right, welcome back, everybody, to the Thursday morning spectacular. Off and rolling. Kyle Grooms from the Missouri Valley Football Conference going to join us in about 15 minutes to preview the game coming up on Saturday, an overview of year one of his time in the league as he joined from the United Athletic Conference. That's coming up in just a little bit. Now, we are 2 weeks removed from official signing day. That hasn't stopped, apparently, the Bison from adding players. Now, I think the question would be, where are they finding availability to do this? Now, a couple guys are walk-ons that we reported on. Simon Vinton, who committed late last week. Roman Johnson out of Lakeville North is another walk-on. The one they got yesterday is not. There is some scholarship money that's going to be freed up, and we'll hear about that, I'm assuming, in the coming days and weeks. The minutia on this goes probably beyond what people care about, but people do care about when there is a flip, and the Bison got that yesterday out of Kenosha, Wisconsin. Wide receiver Brandon Walton announced yesterday that he is flipping his commitment from Central Michigan to North Dakota State. There he is yesterday with the head football coach announcing that he was going to flip his commitment. 6'2", 170 pounds, plays for, I believe, Eric, are they the Red Devils, I believe, of Kenosha Bradford, which is a dynamite nickname. 19 receptions, 239 yards, and 5 touchdowns this past season. Rated a 3-star prospect, according to 24/7 Sports, and ranked as the 12th best player in the state of Wisconsin for the upcoming 2026 class. Now, the Bison were the first to offer him back in March, and that means something, obviously. Now, not sure what either he didn't like or didn't hear from Central Michigan, because he committed to CMU in June, but obviously kept working the phones. And this happens. I mean, Bison fans always flip out when they find a guy that they had is flipped and gone to an FBS program or a Power 4 program. Well, it works the other way. The Bison are still working the phones on trying to get guys to join them. He had offers from Kent State, Illinois State. We mentioned Central Michigan. He committed on June the 18th. You could see his speed out there. He plays both defensive back and wide receiver. He is going to be a wide receiver. Now, this is the second flip that's happened in the last week. You remember Braylon Tolliver, the great running back out of Erie, Colorado, we talked with Tim about when he was here a week ago today, that announced his commitment and signed with NDSU after originally committing to Oregon State. Polisic made no bones about it when he was here last week. They're going to recruit high school guys. They're going to recruit them heavy, and know that, you're seeing South Dakota State making some splashes in the portal, and that's fine. They've added a few NSIC guys, more than a few, at least 3 or maybe even 4, all on the defensive side, which you can probably draw 2 and 2 together on that, there may have been some previous connections or established connections here prior to going, because they're not even in the portal yet officially, because it doesn't open until January 2. And second, that the returning defensive players Dan Jackson wasn't too thrilled about is where they're going. Now, on the Bison side of this, think about this. Wisconsin, last I checked, pretty good in football, state high school football. At least that's what Benel tells me all the time. NDSU's got 4 of the top guys of this upcoming class. Okay? They got Thieneman, who you met, Tucker Thieneman, out of Pewaukee. Prescott, Kobe Russell's number 18, and Jack Wilson, who we had on the show when he committed this spring, is number 24 out of Mount Horeb. That's pretty darn good. They're going to go and do that. It's the 3rd wide receiver for this particular class as well, with joining Miles Ellis out of Illinois and Kai Schlichting from West Fargo, Cheyenne. So that's the update there. Now, are they done? Hard to. I mean, they signed whatever it was, 21, I believe, and now they've added 5 to 6 guys here over the last week or plus. That might be the one upside to having the football season end when it did, is that they've been out there recruiting pretty heavily and over the last week plus. And he was here last week and told us exactly that was going to happen. Now, that may mean trying to preempt some potential departures. Who knows on that? Now, when you want to start reading between the lines or trying to discern from social media, which is a really scary road, and frankly, I wish I could spend my time in better efforts than this. But last night or yesterday afternoon, I think it was yesterday afternoon, Nathaniel Staling, who is one of the Bison captains, likely will be a captain again in 2026, the starting linebacker, middle linebacker for the Bison, who is being courted, there's no doubt. We've been told that. He changed his profile picture to him in a Bison uniform. Now, I don't know what you make of that. If you want to go down that road, that would make me seem like, okay, he's coming back. That to me, if you go and do that and tweet it out with like the hashtag, the new profile pic, that makes it seem like he's fully in and ready to go for 2020. I haven't asked him that. I tried to get him on the show today. He said he couldn't do it, so maybe we'll get him sometime after the first of the year. But that would make it seem like he is in for the 2026 season. Again, scary thing when you're trying to read and discern what 19, 20, 21, 22-year-olds are doing. But that's the life and times of what goes on right now in FBS and FCS football. It's a fool's errand. We love covering it, love talking about it, but, man, it's just a crazy world to go down right now. So that's at least the latest there. Again, if you're trying to get excited about, well, Bison haven't announced. Those guys are going out. Get it. We're still a couple weeks out from when it officially opens. And now I would say here's the stretch. If you want to wonder what could happen, this is it. The guys are wrapping up finals, heading home. That's when the little birdies can start getting in people's ears. And that's what the coaching staff is most concerned about now, I would say, over the next little bit. Grant Olson was telling me yesterday he was leaving. Like, yeah, I'm excited about the holiday, but I got the bat phone is going to be right there just in case that – and he told us, like, in case anybody calls, like, he's got to be available. That's a tough way to live, but that's exactly the set profession that is in. Because I got one email on this, and I wanted to read it before we break, and we'll get Kyle on here because I thought this was interesting. Dom, in the Grant Olson interview, he talked about things needing to change. It's insane. It makes no sense. Only logical place to go is it was skewed the other way for a century. Now, after 5 years, it just has to change because it's so awful. Maybe the NCAA should have figured out how insane it was 40 years ago, and a lot of this could have been avoided. That is spot on because there were no guardrails put up for the coaches to go willy-nilly, that they could leave at a moment's notice and did and still do, that when the players got their own autonomy to do this, what did you think was going to happen? And so now we have a sport that is immensely popular. It's the second most popular sport in this country. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And that has no real governance on how it's run. They've tried to, but repeatedly it's either been defeated in court or in the process they just let the horses run wild and they can't get them back. That's the perfect analogy of what we got going on with college football in now almost 2026. Let's break. We come back. Speaking of college football, we've got semifinal weekend ahead in the FCS. The Valley has a team still alive. Kyle Grooms from the Missouri Valley Football Conference will join us to chat about year one in the office and can they get another team to the national championship game that's coming up when we come back. That is a ugly camera shot right now. That just does not look great. That's in Grand Forks, I'm assuming, what's going on right now. It's supposed to be coming this way. Just be careful if you got to go anywhere. Blizzard warning going to go till 6 o'clock tonight. So, as we mentioned off the top, any sporting event that was going to happen today has already been banged, and they'll reschedule. It's like teams might be playing 3 or 4 nights in January and February. That's tends to what happens around here. We are on 48 hours or less getting ready for semifinals Saturday in the FCS. We'll chat about Brawl the Wild Part 2 coming up in our second hour. But the other semifinal, yeah, I can hold the helmet here. The Missouri Valley still has a team still playing. I know Bison fans are still sulking, but the conference will be represented in the semifinals for a 15th year in a row on Saturday night when Illinois State will take on Villanova. That's at 6:30 on ESPN2. The chief operating officer of the Valley joins us, Kyle Grooms, on this Thursday morning. I was mentioning earlier, last time we saw you, you were playing amateur meteorologist in Terre Haute. Did you get any feedback out of that?
No, man. That was a wild weekend. If you kind of can recall, we had probably half of our league games move times and end up getting delayed in that one. And I think last time we talked, anybody who's been in this business any length of time has been through a crazy weather delay or a crazy story, and you just add another one. So the joke that we had going on, we just said, hey, just build a dome.
Yeah.
We can avoid all these. Just build a dome, like half our league. So, no, it was good. That situation was awesome. Having all the ADs and coaches present and being able to work through that situation and be able to get that game, a crucial MVFC game kind of on the books in that one. So great job Indiana State and their team on that game day ops. So it was awesome.
So before we talk about this weekend, I'm curious, did you get a chance, because last time I think we had you on the show was you just got the job. So did you get a chance to see everything and give me your, I guess, initial feedback on year one of being a part of the Valley?
Just an awesome organization to be a part of and jump in on. You mentioned it. We're heading into the semifinals for the 15th straight year. So going in the first year was a lot of getting to know people, establishing some relationships, and getting on campuses and doing a lot of evaluation stuff. So was able to do that, hit all the schools, and pretty much got to see everybody play and talk to coaches and ADs and administrators and presidents, and it's been an awesome year. And certainly you look from the beginning of the year all the way through the final rankings, the Valley with 7 teams that were ranked, and it's the deepest, strongest league for a reason. So that's been a lot of fun to watch. Really, really good football week in and week out. And we're in the playoff season, but from about week 5 when Valley play started, it's been a playoff since week 5 for us.
I have to assume you guys were jumping up and down when you got a 6th team in when you found out on Selection Sunday. But what did that do for you when you were talking with Jeff? Like, okay, this is solidified where we're at, that we got for the second year, we got 6 teams into the tournament.
Yeah, getting 6 in was big. Certainly, there's a lot of conversation in that one with 6, and then not having double the amount that any other conference had. I think the next Big Sky and CAA and a couple had 3, but for us to have 6 just kind of really shows the depth of our league, and everybody but Illinois State received a national seed in that top 16. So that really showcased how strong and how deep and good our league is, top to bottom. And you got to throw in a Southern Illinois in that conversation as well, because they were right on that cut line. They were in discussions inside the room, and certainly they had big wins and marquee players and a couple All-Americans in that group. So you can't not talk about them as well. And so our committee rep, Bill Chaves from North Dakota, was in the room and fought for us and did a fantastic job.
I know you had followed things about the league from afar in your position in the WAC and the United. What did you not know about it that you found up close this year about the Valley?
Really, the depth of the league is outstanding. I mean, it's just one of those things that just hits you in the face each week, and really how physical the league is. You kind of pay attention to it from afar, and when you see it up close and you see it in person week in and week out, you realize how physical the game is, and it's just a different brand of football, and you don't really understand it from seeing it on TV or from afar, or tracking it from afar, until you actually get up there and line up and see it. And talking to other colleagues from other conferences after we play in a non-conference situation, the first remark from either those coaches or those conference colleagues is God, those teams are so physical. Like, you just walk out of those games beat up, So it's a compliment to the league. It's a compliment to the programs and coaches, for sure.
I do have to ask, seeing what Tarleton and Villanova last week, I think all of us probably had booked that Tarleton was going to make it and be in this weekend, and Villanova went and now has ended up playing a game. Were you surprised that Tarleton got upended, knowing you were there? I think you were there for the UND game, right, a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I was at the Tarleton UND game, and what Tarleton's been able to do is first class all the way. they're a top 10 team in the league in the country, for sure. There's no doubt about it. But when you get into playoff situations, anything can happen.
Yeah.
And Villanova's a fantastic team. I think the 12-win team. So you got to give Villanova their flowers as well. So, but when you get into the playoff situation, anything can happen.
Yeah. Seeing Illinois State still playing, obviously, of what happened here, to go and then do what they did at Davis. I know you mentioned to me that Jeff was out at the game on Saturday in Davis, that they're still alive. Just can you remark what the league is saying, that Illinois State is the one still standing?
Yeah, I mean, but if you look back into August, a lot of people had them as an outside shot to be a national title contender, and people forget Illinois State for probably that middle third of the season was ranked number 4 in the country.
Yep.
you know, so very deserving team. You love the surprise that it's an unseeded team, and it's the storyline is there. But make no mistake about it, they're a quality team. They're as physical, they're as well coached. Brock Spack is a legend, but they're there for a reason. You know, they do things the right way, and it may be a surprise to a lot of people outside, but a lot of people in normal was kind of anticipating this.
The fact that they won 8 road games. You're a former player. Describe that. 8 road wins in one season is unfathomable to me.
Well, go back even further, Dom. I think they're 14-1 in the last 2 seasons on the road, and their only loss was their playoff loss last year on the road. But it's something special going on the road. You go into a stadium where pretty much everybody there is against you, and so it kind of really forges that team bond a little bit more, and it's kind of us versus the world mentality. And when you're the visiting team and the stadium goes quiet, there's no better feeling as a visiting team. And I think Illinois State has kind of embraced that, where it's just like, hey, you know what? We're going to go on the road. We're going to do our thing, and we know we're going to be a road team. Even the first round of the playoffs, even if they were to host or be a higher seed, they were going to go on the road. You know, they make that decision. With their hosting their high school championships there, which is really important to them. And so they just voluntarily say, hey, we're a good road team. We'll go anywhere and play anybody. So
I'm interested, though. I tweeted this out.
It's awesome. It's a great story.
Yeah, it's amazing. The mileage, though, they're piling up. I mean, they're at like 4,300 miles after they get to Philly on Saturday. As a former player, does that wear on you at this stage, or are they just playing with adrenaline and going with good vibes, honestly, right now?
I think they're having fun.
Yeah.
They're having fun going everywhere. I think I saw one of their players tweeted, they sent us south, they sent us west, they sent us north. Now they're sending them east. So they're trying to be America's team here for a little bit. So
they've certainly hit every part of the country. There's nowhere else for them to go outside of Nashville. They go to the south if they are able to win on Saturday night. Before I let you go, I'm interested to take a step back. How would you grade the whole year? Obviously, North Dakota State goes unbeaten in the regular season. The 6 teams in. How would you grade the Valley for 2025?
I think the expectation is to get as many teams as possible, from our chair into the playoffs and all that, and support our institutions as well as we can throughout the year, and then always the goal for every one of our teams is to lift that trophy at the end of the year. So that part is still TBD, but I think from our chairs we sat, I think we've done some really, really great things to support our membership, support those institutions. Mike Kern does a phenomenal job running a lot of our media stuff. Emmy Wolf has really stepped in from a social media and content production standpoint. We track that. Our lowest social media posts from this year are higher than our highest,
wow,
or some of our highest from last year. So the growth and the recognition from just what's being talked about in the MVFC is the reach is really there. It's phenomenal. It's awesome. And then you have all the storylines and the ESPN coverage, and the exposure to the league is really good. And I think the word is out that, hey, the Valley is you got to go through it to raise that trophy. So that's what we're proud of.
And let's just say it: there's going to be a Walter Payton winner out of the league as well, because it's either Bo or Cole that's going to win this thing in a couple of weeks. So we can brag about that.
The individual accolades is phenomenal. I think we led the country in number of All-Americans that were selected. You just go down that list and you'll see MVFC teams all over the place. From every single one of our institutions. It's a great testament to the quality of players and the recruiting and the coaching. It's great. It's awesome.
It's great to see you, man. Thanks so much for doing this. Have a tremendous holiday, and we'll see you in 2026, okay?
Absolutely, Dom. I appreciate you. Happy holidays, and we'll see you in Nashville.
Sounds good. Kyle Grooms joining us, Missouri Valley Football Conference Chief Operating Officer, the man who's making everything happen, and good stuff there out of a league that had a great year. And I will say this on the last point he was talking about, social media-wise, exposure-wise, that was 1,000% better. I'm not sure how much Kyle and Josh Fenton and the help from the Summit had in that. I'm sure it was some, but it was a stark difference as opposed to what we have been experiencing. And I imagine you'll see if Illinois State's able to win this game and go to Nashville, that will be even more so over the next couple of weeks. And certainly whoever ends up winning the Peyton, because it's a 2-horse race, I think, and a lot of people think it's a 1-horse race, which is fine. They will go to the hilt on exposure there. It's good stuff. All right, we're overdue for a break. We'll get caught up here. We'll wrap up our first hour and get ready for hour two. Tom Wistrcill, the commissioner of the Big Sky, coming up to lead off our second hour. Back on a chilly, windy, crappy Thursday after this. All right, wrapping up our first hour. Our thanks to Kyle Grooms for giving us a few minutes there. That camera is rocking and rolling here. Yeah, that just looks nasty out there. Again, the snowfall isn't going to be much, but if it comes, it's just going to be blinding out there. I was looking at my driveway camera. So far, so good, but apparently more is coming. So if you're home today, hunker down, and it's supposed to be better tomorrow. You can get the Christmas shopping done tomorrow because we're a week out from that. And one scheduling note, we are with you all next week. Christmas Day, we are 1 hour instead of our usual 2. So next week, we're just on for 1. But we'll be with you on Christmas Eve, normal deal there. And looking forward to a fun holiday week of shows starting on Monday. Get you ready for what's coming up with the big man set to come by. Now, I did not include this on What to Watch, so I can do it now because I neglected this, and that's shame on me on it. But we've got tonight the Final Four of the NCAA volleyball tournament will resume after we had the upsets over the weekend. And you've got 2 great games. Texas A&M and Pitt will start things in the first semifinal at 5:30 on ESPN. That'll be followed by Wisconsin against Kentucky in the second national semifinal, which those games we played in Kansas City for the NCAA volleyball Final Four, which if you haven't been paying attention, and you're one of the few that haven't because the ratings on this have been outstanding, it's been a great tournament. Obviously, the top seed, Nebraska, got beat last weekend by Texas A&M to eliminate them out of this field. The championship is actually Sunday afternoon on ABC, and you're wondering, well, why would they do that against the NFL? Well, this is different than what the FCS did, and the FCS did a 2-year trial run. It wasn't great, and the ratings were not good for it. We saw it in 22 and 23 when the Bison and the Jacks played and the Jacks and the Grizz played. It just didn't work. But if it's a different sport entirely, like volleyball obviously is, now that's an opening that they want to explore. Last year it did well. I imagine this year will as well. The interesting part is, can they keep that momentum going? We've seen it for volleyball throughout the year. ratings-wise has been tremendous. So if you're looking for something and Mo State, Arkansas State doesn't get you going, and granted we got an NFL game tonight with the Rams and Seattle coming up tonight as well, volleyball should be your choice on that. Let's get one more email in before we break. This goes back to yesterday on the Twins news. Of course, you saw that now Tom Pohlad is going to take over for his brother Joe. Email comes in. Dom, can you wonder how awkward it's going to be at the Pohlad house this weekend or over Christmas break on this? Yeah, that's a different deal. Granted, the whole family is bizarre as it is, but that's often that different universe of high-profile money and all that. Frank, you know what? Until the Pohlads divorce themselves from the team, I'm not going to get super excited about what they're going to do with it. I don't even I'm Greg. Craig Leopold's a part of it. Until the Pohlads are done, I'm not going to start jumping up and down. That's just me. Let's break. We come back. We'll start our second hour. Big Sky Commissioner Tom Wistrcill will join us to get us ready for Brawl the Wild Part 2, or the Super Brawl, however you want to call it, with Montana and Montana State. We'll preview that when Hot Mike Hour 2 begins after this.
This is Hot Mike. Hot Mike. On the networks of WDAY. Here's Don Izzo.
Welcome back, everybody. Hour 2, ready to rock and roll here on a snowy and windy Thursday morning. Sources have indicated that there's a football game of somewhat significance on Saturday being played in Bozeman, Montana. The winner will head to the national championship game in Nashville, Tennessee in a couple of weeks. Our next guest has got to be sitting in the catbird seat because everybody, I think, has been calling him looking for a ticket because evidently they're hard to get at Bobcat Stadium. Montana State for the right to go to Nashville. Tom Wistrcill, the commissioner of the Big Sky Conference, is back with us. We always love getting a chance to talk with the commish. What do you prefer, the Super Brawl, Brawl the Wild Part 2? What nickname have you caught on to say, oh, I like that for Saturday?
You know, I think the Super Brawl is kind of interesting. And, it's funny. The fans in Montana don't really call it the Brawl the Wild, right? It's either the Cat Grizz or Grizz Cat game, right? Depending upon what side you're on. But, no, it's going to be a special atmosphere. You know, you've been in those types of games before, Dom, with the Dakotas playing each other to go to the, and so it's just a special time. It is. I find it fascinating that they've never played in the playoffs until now, and so it's going to be a great day and everything that FCS football is about.
So, in your heart of hearts, in November when the bracket came out, you're like, yeah, let's go. Was it, or would you have preferred it for them playing for the whole thing? I'm assuming for the whole thing in Nashville.
Yeah, I mean, if you have your choice, obviously you'd love to have both in Nashville, right? But it's one of those things where, as the season kind of played out, the way I looked at it, there were a clear top 3 teams in the country, and then there was a gap to number 4. So I could see where it was going. It was like, North Dakota State was going to win and be number 1, and then the winner of the Cat Grizz was probably going to be 2, and the loser was going to deserve the 3 seed. And so it just played out that way, which is fine. And like I said, it's probably from what Montana residents have been telling me, the biggest thing that's happened in Montana since they became a state. So we'll see how that plays out.
So we were talking about that earlier in the week, and we found out like Jack Dempsey held a boxing match there in 1923 in Shelby, but that's 100 years ago. This is the biggest sporting event to hit this state. It has to be.
Yeah, I agree. And somebody was telling me that the Jack Dempsey thing, because they spent so much money building out this stadium, it almost bankrupted the state back then. So
wow.
So yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where you already have a game that means so much to the people in the state. I think I think the ratings came out from the earlier matchup, and it was like, 75% of all TVs in the state were watching the game. So now you up the ante to the winner gets a chance to play for the national championship. And it just drives it kind of into the stratosphere.
You got to be just sitting there smiling, knowing there are CFP games this weekend, Tom, and everybody, honestly, and my social media is different because I'm following what's going on in FCS, is talking about your game, though, on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, it's really exciting. I was in Vegas a week ago or so at the National Football Foundation Hall of Fame, and even then, they both hadn't won their game yet on Saturday. But like I was talking with Reese Davis, and he was like, "Hey, are you going to have a matchup of the two Montana schools again?" And I was like, "We might."
Yeah.
And so that's cool to see. In fact, they mentioned on their podcast yesterday, Reese and Dan Wetzel and Pete Thamel. So I mean, yeah, it's one of those cool things when you see that the cost to get in and get a ticket is more than the CFP games this weekend. And yeah, it's just going to be a special game.
It's nice to mention it. Have game day go back. What else are they doing? Come on, right?
I wish. We tried to get them to come to Missoula. That didn't work. And they're going to the CFP games, which obviously ESPN pays a lot of money for. So, we're very fortunate.
But we were visiting about this off air before you came on. You also got a prime TV spot. There's a lot to get your TV attention this weekend. CFP's going on. The NFL has a couple of games. But your game, it's 3 o'clock Central, 2 o'clock Mountain on ABC. I'm really intrigued to see the amount of viewership you're going to have nationwide, let alone the state of Montana for this game.
Yeah, I agree, Dom. You get it's all in a lot of ways. It's all about the lead in to those types of games, right? If that Texas A&M Miami game is a really competitive game, people are watching it, then people just kind of continue to kind of roll right into the next event, right? And that will be this game, which obviously the crowd will be going crazy. It'll show great on TV. The NFL game kicks off an hour after this game. So, we're hopeful that, those people tune in, start watching this great game and just lock into it. So you're right. It's a crowded Saturday, and that's okay. To have teams playing is very special.
To have these be the matchup as well. Heck, Davis obviously made it to the quarters. You almost had what the Valley did last year with 3 out of the 4 in the semifinals. Can you grade this year? I know it's not done yet, but how this has played out for the Big Sky in 2025?
Yeah, Dom, FCS football as well as anybody. There's 2 dominant conferences, right? The Big Sky and the Valley. That played out, this way. Last year we had 5 teams in, and the Valley had the best team, right? This year, we had only 3 teams in, but all 3 were seeded, right? And so, it goes back and forth. We kind of toss the ball back and forth amongst the 2 conferences, right? And so we were very fortunate to have 3 seeded teams. I give Illinois State a lot of credit. I was at that game at Davis.
Yeah.
And, confidence and momentum are an incredible factor in a game like football. And what Brock's doing there at Illinois State was really impressive. They looked as good as any team as I've watched all year at Davis. And so, we're very fortunate in the Big Sky we had 3 teams there. We have 2 teams left. We're going to have a team in Nashville. Between you and me and our friends here on the air, I'll be really shocked if that's not Illinois State. Although playing 4 games in a row on the road is a hell of a tough situation, but they're playing, like I said, they're playing with so much confidence that they were, Davis is a good team, and Illinois State, took it to them. So I give them a lot of credit, and one of the Montana teams will show up there too. And I expect it to be a wonderful championship game in January.
South Dakota State did this. You remember a few years ago, they ran out of gas in Bozeman. That's the thing you wonder about, because the Jacks even had a home game that year. Illinois State hasn't been able to play at home. That's the remarkable thing of this journey they've been on the last month.
Yeah, it was interesting. I think it certainly was an advantage. And Brock might have talked about this in a press conference, but they went to Davis last year and lost like 42-10. They got worked pretty good, and so they came back to Davis kind of like a little bit of chip on their shoulder. They knew what to expect. It was a toss up for the first half, and then Illinois State really took it to them. So we'll see what happens, and nonetheless, it'll be 2 great games on Saturday.
So in your role, are you allowed to actually watch the game on Saturday? I know you got to do a lot of handshake and glad handing. And can you actually enjoy the game Saturday?
I'll enjoy the game probably when it's over. In some ways, it's a conference game, right?
Yes.
So I will be there cheering for the officials like I do every conference game. The officials are coming from the Southern Conference to come up there. So I'll have a little pregame meeting with them to talk about, the rivalry and, how to handle, this type of situation. I don't know who they are, the officials. I just know where they're coming from. Yeah. And I know they've never worked a game like this before.
No, that's the thing you worry about, because I know, not to interrupt you, we've had games up here where officials, it almost got to them. Like the magnitude of the game was almost bigger than what they were prepared for.
Well, interesting, Dom. I had mentioned to the NCAA people that if this game happens, I wanted the best Valley officiating crew there, because I wanted them to be used to the noise and intensity of a rivalry, like when North Dakota State plays South Dakota State, right? Unfortunately, the best Valley crews have already officiated the Big Sky teams already. And so, it worked out fine. I expect these officials to do a great job. I will absolutely be cheering for them, and they will know that. I'll be very neutral on the side, which in some ways, Dom, is not much fun. I like being able to cheer and clap and yell and all that. But I will be there, probably standing by a goalpost and just enjoying what the best of college football.
What have you heard or anticipating for whatever team makes it to Nashville, what the crowd will be like to go to Tennessee here? Because it's been a bit. Montana was last there in 2009 in Chattanooga, the last time it was in the state of Tennessee.
Our fans, just like your fans there, will travel and will be excited. Nashville is a great destination for people, I think. And it's changed so drastically. I haven't been there in like 10 years, but everybody has told me that they've just upped the ante there with the entertainment and the fun. I expect either Montana team to travel very well to Nashville. It's about a similar distance from like Montana to Frisco was. And, hopefully the weather's nice. I've heard wonderful things about the new stadium that Vandy has renovated. It seats 33,000. Heck, Dom, if we'd have had that 33,000 last year's national championship game, we would have sold that out.
Correct.
As you know.
Yes, that would have been a tough ticket then.
So I expect there to be a great contingent of either Grizz or Cats fans in Nashville.
I have not had you on. You've had a busy last stretch here because obviously the conference come July is going to expand. Can you give us the details on getting Southern Utah back and adding Utah Tech into the league and how this came about?
We were very prepared. We knew Sac State was going to be leaving and making a decision to do something different. So we had plenty of time to plan. Our presidents were very much in tune with what was going on. The timing was right to add both. I think we're in a state of college athletics. The waters are so choppy everywhere, and there's strength in numbers. And we're very fortunate, our geography is a fit with those two schools. They can be travel partners in sports like basketball and others, right? And so that worked out great. Football, Southern Utah's had a pretty good program the last few years, been in the playoffs or on the cusp of it. Utah Tech is like a diamond in the rough, Dom. St. George, Utah is one of the fastest growing communities in all of the United States. They've got a really good foundation there. I expect them to be a strong program in the future. So it just made a lot of sense for us from a timing perspective. The odd number's never perfect, but we had that when I got in the league. We had an odd number. And so you make it work. We're going to go, with the move to 12 games. You play 9 conference games, and so that'll be exciting for us. We'll still have time to get those great matchups between the Valley and the Big Sky in football. But it's a really good move for us. Our fans are excited, and it makes a lot of sense.
I wanted to ask you about the 9 league games. Was that something you got any resistance from your football coaches about, or was that something they welcomed?
They all welcomed it. It's so hard for us to get games. We can't get any of those CAA teams or SoCon teams to come out. So, it's like we'll play at some Southland, and then the majority of our games are against the Valley. And like I said, that which is awesome. That's the best non-conference football we have. But it's just really hard. People. The funny thing is, here's how I kid those people out east. They think Kansas is in the West. That's what people out east think, and so we can't get them to come fly to Montana or Arizona or Utah, much less Washington and Oregon.
A couple minutes left here with Tom Wistrcill, the commissioner of the Big Sky. to have the matchups in Vegas in 27 and 29 with Montana, Montana State, and SDSU and NDSU. Give us your viewpoint on that. When did ESPN bring you into the mix on that?
So, it actually kind of started with me. I've been down to multiple games in Vegas. We have teams that play UNLV and that, and from those games, and also I'm a big Pittsburgh Steelers fan, and the Steelers played the Raiders back-to-back years there, and so I started talking with the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Bureau, and said, hey, what if we brought some games down here? What do you think of that? I said, financially, how would you work? What kind of numbers do you need? And that kind of sprung from that discussion. Well, then I brought the 4 ADs in on a call, and and just said to Matt and Justin and Leon and Kent, hey guys, what do you think of this idea? And I said, if I can financially make it work through the money that Las Vegas would step up to this, what do you think? And they were all like, let's see what happens. And so I went back. It was kind of fun because I could work as the agent. Then they didn't have to ask for the money. I was doing it. And so, then we brought ESPN Events into it. I've known those people a long time. And then it was just a matter of could they reach the number. Then after that, I stepped out. They did contracts separately with each school. And it's going to work out really well. We're so excited about it. They're going to work the timing around some other games they have there. Like I think Utah's playing Miami that first weekend on like a Saturday night. So we don't know if the matchup, which I can't even remember who's playing who the first year.
I think it's Bison Cats, I think, is the first year that's happening.
I think you're right. Yeah. And so we don't know if that's going to be Thursday night or Friday night, or it could even be like Saturday at noon. But we think it'll be Thursday or Friday night. And we just think it'll be an awesome environment for the fans to all go down there, enjoy Vegas for a few days. They're used to putting on big events and big bowl games, so it's going to be a really fun environment.
You get a commission out of that, Ned?
No, it'll just be fun for me to be there on the sideline and cheer our team on against your squad, Dom.
So I got to ask here, you're also a member of the NCAA basketball tournament committee. Can you give us the down, are we going to 76? What are we doing here?
We're doing a lot of discussion about the pros and cons of expansion. Oh. We know that if we're going to do it for 27, we need to make a decision in the next few months. There's a lot of good things about it. There's some things, it's kind of one of those things. We think the basketball tournament's so perfect. Any tweak to it, we got to be really careful. Yep. So we're really taking our time. I wouldn't know how to handicap it other than there's a lot of discussion going on, and there's some pros to it from the mid-major level that are pretty exciting that we talk about. But it's a great committee. It's an honor to be on it. And it's the greatest 3 weeks in sports. So we've had an incredible preseason. The top 25 games against each other this year have been better than ever. So it's been a really fun year so far in basketball, even though we're all still in football mode right now.
Well, and I'd ask about that. You being in your role as a commissioner of a mid-major league, I'd be stopping to say, is there a possibility of getting two bursts? But I know that's not going to happen. How tough is that for you to balance that role? Like, hey, we'd love more access, but we know that's probably not going to be a reality.
Yeah, in our studies, we found about 20, if we went to 76, 20% of the bids would go to non-P5. I'm saying P5 because I'm counting the Big East in that.
Yep.
20% of those bids. The other thing it would create that's kind of exciting would be like if our champions played each other in an opening round, the Summit League and the Big Sky, then all of a sudden the winner gets a unit. We haven't won a game. We haven't won a game in the Big Sky for 20 years. Man. So, there's a lot of money out on the table there. So, like I said, we're studying it and working really hard. Don't know when a decision is going to be made, but like I said, it's a hot topic.
I really appreciate your openness on that and your time. I know you're a busy man. Safe travels to Bozeman. Have a great time, and Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and thanks for doing this, all right?
You as well, Dom. Great to be with you, and thanks for all you do for the FCS.
Appreciate it, bud. There he goes, Tom Wistrcill, Commissioner of the Big Sky Conference, joining us. Of course, Montana State coming up on Saturday, 3 o'clock on WDAY. The winner goes to Nashville, and you could already hear the excitement level there. We're still 2 days out, and it's palpable. I'm interested to hear. We'll probably do this as a poll question tomorrow for A, who you think's going to win, and B, are you watching, or you can't look at it because you know that you should be there. That's the we'll throw that out there for tomorrow. But boy, just talking about it with them, just get excited about what the potential is. I tend to agree with them. I think Illinois State's winning this game on Saturday night. I do. I think they're playing with house money. They're going to go and beat Villanova. We'll see. We'll break. We'll come back. We'll answer a couple emails and caught up on a couple other things as well. Back on a snowy Thursday. Well, is there snow? We know there's wind. Back after this. Welcome back, everybody. Good stuff with Tom Wistrcill, commissioner of the Big Sky Conference. Always gracious with his time and gives us some really good info, whether it be on the upcoming games in Vegas or who's officiating the game on Saturday or the big discussion on expanding the NCAA basketball tournament. That was good. We covered a lot of ground there. We are in the midst of awards season. As everybody knows, everybody has an All-American list. I think the two most prestigious ones have come out the last 2 days. Yesterday, or was it Tuesday, we had the Associated Press All-Americans. Today, the AFCA All-American list just came out. First team offense there, no surprise that Bo Brungard is the quarterback from Youngstown State. L.J. Phillips, running back from South Dakota, is a first-teamer. Bryce Lance from North Dakota State. And Trent Fraley is a first-team All-American. Also on that list, you'll see another name you might remember. Mike Bartolucci is on there from the Citadel. We remember him on that list as well. So those are the offensive first-team All-Americans. So the Bison played 1, 2, 3 of these guys, and obviously NDSU has a couple. First-team defense, worth noting, Logan Kopp is a first-team All-American. He was not the Defensive Player of the Year in his own league. Niekamp, who's also a first-team All-American from Illinois State, is. But Kopp is a first-team All-American linebacker. He is the only Bison defensively to be selected there. Caden Dowler is a first-teamer from Montana State, as is, as we mentioned, Niekamp as well from Illinois State. Second-team, Griffin Empey was a second-team All-American selection from North Dakota State on offense. Just quickly scanning, nobody second team there. So that's honestly AFCA, I would say, if you're looking at like Walter Camp, I don't know if they still do that. Walter Camp has All-American. That's pretty high. Associated Press, these are, I consider those like the most prestigious of the All-American honors. And that's no slight to the other ones who do it, to the stats people that vote, or and Sports FCS Central, I think, had one. Those are fine. These are the ones I consider as the top of the top there. So Brungard was quarterback of the first team. Second team quarterback was Teron Dickens from Western Carolina, who's the other finalist with Cole Payton for the Walter Payton Award, which will be awarded on January 3 in Nashville. Eli Gilman was a second team running back, just guys that we know or have seen. Max Pelham, the punter from South Dakota State, was a first-team All-American punter. Michael Wortham was all-purpose, who's the great returner, wide receiver, does everything for the Grizz. It's ironic to see him become such a great player for the Grizz, where we saw him in Eastern Washington, and we're like, all right, he's okay. I mean, he was used in a couple spots, but not nearly what he's been used with Bobby Hauck's team at Montana. So there you have it. Those are the most recent All-American lists that have come out. Again, take it for what it's worth on that. Just going back also to our conversation with the commish. So if you're wondering, this is the amount of football we have just on Saturday. On Saturday alone, you have the college football playoff. You have 3 games going that day. This is something that I hope in the near future gets resolved with the CFP and the NFL. Because the NFL has said, hey, that's our territory. That third Saturday in December, we're playing games there. They have forever. and the CFP doesn't want to play on a Thursday or a Friday. And so we're stuck now with these games going up against one another. So Saturday, 11 a.m., you start with Miami and Texas A&M on ABC. That's going to have some eyeballs on it in College Station. Then at 2:30 is the second game of the first round on that day, Tulane and Ole Miss. Now, that's on TNT. Okay, so it's cable only for that one. 3 o'clock on ABC, you've got Montana and Montana State. At 4 o'clock, though, on Fox, you've got an NFL game. Eagles are playing the Commanders. Now, I know Washington is out of it, but it's an NFL game. And what have we learned over the last couple of years? Ain't nothing beating that. I don't care if you got two teams that are 3-12. People watch the NFL. And then at 6:30, you've got Villanova, Illinois State on ESPN2. That is not going to do well. I'm going to tell you that right now. If that, we want to set the under-over on that. 400,000? Okay, let's go 400,000. I might take the under on that. Knowing what else you have going on, the CFP has James Madison and Oregon at 6:30 on TNT, which will get some eye. I think people will be curious to see how JMU does in that game with Oregon. And then the NFL is another game at 7:20 that night, and it's a big one. It's the Bears and the Packers in Chicago on Fox, which is going to do a monster rating. So that's the TV real estate for football. ABC has 2 games. Fox has 2 games. TNT's got a couple. ESPN2's got 1. I mean, that is a tight real estate there. And I'm going to tell you who's going to win. NFL's going to win by a landslide against those college football games. It's not even a fair fight, honestly. Let's break. We come back. Sam Goetzinger will join us. We'll chat with him about his beloved Colts and Phillip Rivers experience, part 2. A couple other topics. We wrap up our Thursday show right after this.
Let's take a moment and talk about bunions. The original line read as this: bunions. You may have heard of them. That was my original line.
Hey, thank you, Dom. Johnny Cool Guys there with the sunglasses on.
That was off the dome.
To the west of
when
Illinois.
I'm looking on it, like west. I shouldn't say right and left. Is that Missouri?
That is Missouri.
Yes.
That is
it's underneath
Missouri.
Iowa.
Way to go.
I'm getting good at this.
He's coming.
So we're going to like the bottom peninsula region.
Peninsula.
Okay, we're going to come back on the ETSU tailgate and then go to you. How am I going to go from a tailgate to bunions?
Okay, good deal.
Let's take a moment and talk about bunions.
There are different things that make me laugh in that. Today it was the Dave thing. That got me today.
It's a timeless clip. It really does wonders. And in the moment, I would have had no idea that it was going to be.
No, it took out a life of its own there. Hey, you made it in.
I
Thanks
did.
for getting here. How
Barely.
tough was that from West Fargo?
It wasn't fun. I'll say that. I told you off air I had to veer a loose garbage can from flying into my windshield on Cheyenne, so I had to.
That's not great.
Get out of the way of that. 94 could barely stay on the road. It's not like. Here's my meteorology report for
here
the
we
day.
go.
It's not snowing bad. I think it's just a lot of loose particles that are flying around. But if we get any snow, oh, man, I'm done.
Okay,
I'm going home.
Is Bobby doing the 11? Because we can send him home.
Yeah,
you can
I'll
go do
I'll
that.
handle that.
Hey, it's not snowing bad.
Yep.
But
we have loose sediments that are flying around. So if you don't have to leave, don't leave. Everything's canceled anyway. Just stay home.
Yeah, you were supposed to have a hockey game tonight?
I was. Shanley and Central. And then about
happening.
9 o'clock last night, they got canceled.
that ain't happening.
Before the whole shebang happened. So they were watching the weather.
So, yeah, and honestly, it all happened within like a 5-minute stretch because Moorhead canceled, I want to say, at like 8:58, then Fargo, and then West Fargo, and then, we're done. So,
which is
up north, it's bad. I know Eric said earlier in the show he had the shot from Grand Forks. I mean, you can't see literally anything up there.
If that comes down our way, I'm running home and I'm staying there. It was not fun. It is one of the more windier days that I've experienced in my time up here.
Email comes in. Dom, could you ask Sam, he's a great hockey mind, what is their comparison for what the Minnesota Wild did in acquiring Quinn Hughes?
Oh,
is there a trade comparison?
Yes, I was looking at these, and now I gotta remember them. It's huge. It's massive. Good.
We haven't talked a ton about it on the show this week, to be honest with you. So
a good comparison in what terms are we talking? Like NBA, I guess.
Hey guys, whatever comes to mind in terms of what sport. Because I mean, I would think, is it like the Wolves and what they did in trading for?
It's like Rudy Gobert.
Okay,
I think that would be a fair. Honestly, I'd say it's like getting a better version of Rudy Gobert because this is the second best defenseman in the league.
He's that good.
Yeah, he's
okay.
Well, you've seen him already.
He won.
Already.
I know he won the Norris Trophy a couple years ago, which goes to the best defenseman in the game.
I'd say it's similar to the Rudy Gobert situation.
And Wolves fans weren't thrilled with that trade when it went down.
No, but they should. In my opinion, they should be thrilled with this one. Granted, they did give up a lot, but
so that's what
you had to. Yeah. That's what you had to do. Any team would have had to do that if you wanted to get Quinn Hughes, which in Vancouver,
and evidently there were teams that were pursuing him.
Yeah,
and obviously you mentioned to me yesterday. His brothers play for the Devils.
The Devils were one of them, but they just couldn't muster up the bag, if you will, to make Vancouver pull the trigger. And Minnesota did. They gave up pretty much four first-round deals.
Marco Rossi, who was isn't he a former first-round
He's
pick?
First-round guy. Zeke Bouillam's a first-round guy.
Liam Ogren was a high pick as well, right?
Never heard of him, but yeah.
And then they gave up their first-rounder in the upcoming draft in 2026.
Yes.
Bouillam I like a lot.
I love
remember
Bouillam.
watching him play for Denver. And like, boy, first off, he's got an awesome name.
Yep.
Second, he's really good.
Yep.
So, but you mentioned you got to give up I'll give it to Bill Guerin. I mean, there are so many Minnesota teams that have not done this, and obviously we got used to the Wolves and Tim Connolly for, you mentioned the Rudy deal, the Cat trade last year of going, hey, we're going all in, try and do it. Obviously, Guerin believes the Wild, and they're in position to maybe win this thing.
I think so. I definitely think so. And now with Quinn Hughes, it's realistically a possibility. But granted, it's Minnesota sports. I'll throw that dig out there anytime I can. If they can get one more key piece in like a forward position, oh man, I mean, because the goaltending play is great. Now you have really solid help on the back end. You already got great forwards, but if you can get one more, I think it's lights out.
I had this email when we were talking about the Wild and we showed highlights the other day. With the addition of Quinn Hughes, the Wild are probably the third best team in the league. Unfortunately, they're also the third best team in their division.
Yeah, that is true.
Colorado and Dallas are going to be tough to get past. So the NHL still does that stupid playoff format where they have to play teams in their own league, their own division.
Yeah,
that is so.
It's a weird year in the NHL. It's kind of like the NFL. There's a lot of really good teams out there, and like
you could have the best matchup happen in the first round.
Pretty much.
That's
yeah. What are you gonna do?
Fix it.
I know.
Have it be 1 versus 8. Why are we overthinking it? I don't get that.
Yeah, that's
they did
that's
that
above
a few
my
years
pay
ago
grade, but I agree
because they were trying to create rivalries again. And because I remember when I was growing up, they had the Smythe division, you had the Patrick division, and teams played in your own division in the first round and in the second round, and then you played in the conference final against the team from the other division. And they went back to this because Bettman in his infinite wisdom wanted to do, and this is dumb. Because now one of the best teams is going to be out in the first round. Okay, that's great. Way to go.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, that was kind of the case last year, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's. We'll see. We'll see if they fix it.
Colorado has lost like 3 games all season
Pretty
long
much.
or something like that. They've been like what the Thunder are doing in the NBA. Okay, we haven't ripped the Band-Aid off. Everyone wants to know your grade on what Phil Rivers did on Sunday against the
I tell you
Seahawks.
What, my hopes for the playoffs and whatever else completely have dwindled. They're gone. But watching that game, that was the most fun I've had watching a Colts game in a very, very long time.
When they went to the shot of his high school team, the coaches, that was pretty cool.
That was pretty neat.
Really
that was pretty neat. All of them packed into a restaurant watching him play. This play... It looked really defeating at first, but I will say it was kind of impressive because how many 44-year-olds do you know that can fall, get up quickly, and then jump forward?
I'm 46. I'm going to say no. Without tearing an ACL, I'm done.
I know. I saw that. I was like, okay. He could not throw the ball over 10 yards. No. It wasn't going to happen. I think he tried to throw it over 15 twice.
When he throws the touchdown here, this is the normal Phil amped up guy I remember. That
was awesome. That was so cool. I jumped up in my apartment. I was banging around up and down. I apologize to my downstairs neighbors, but
awesome.
that was so cool.
Yep.
He made a couple of big throws. There was a situation in the fourth quarter. It was like 3rd and 7, and he connected with Tyler Warren. I'm like, oh, man, this is unreal. Are we going to get a Phil Rivers 2-minute drill? They get this 60-yard Blake Groupie kick.
Which would have been good for about 65, by the way.
And he's like 5'5", 105 pounds, and he buries it from 60, and then Darnold just marches down the field, and then Phil can't do anything in less than a minute. That you can't give him that opportunity.
Well, I would say, the Seahawks didn't score a touchdown. They had 6 field goals in the game to beat.
And that's the thing that was really impressive. You could kind of tell that the team around Phil wanted to do everything possible to keep him safe and to make it a game. That was the best all-around game. Like, the offensive line was phenomenal. Phil barely got touched in that game. The defense was great. Yep. Can they do that again? Because he's the starter for Monday night.
Monday Night Football.
Can they do that again against the 49ers?
Against the San Francisco 49ers, who are pretty darn good as well.
Now they have a game of tape on this guy.
But you have no wiggle room here. And the Colts have to win their last 3 and get some help now, right?
And we have no offensive linemen either. The couple of them got injured in the Seattle game. So it's not good. And here's the deal with that as well. AR is cleared. His face is good. So
he's not playing.
No, they already said he's not going to because he's been out because of injury. Well, Phil's been gone for 5 years. And AR hasn't played in a couple of months. AR is a genetic freak.
Think about that.
Exactly.
They are so done with him. They rather play a guy off the couch for 5 years ago rather than their number 1 pick of 3 years ago?
Yeah, he was 4th overall pick. Yeah.
My gosh.
Yeah, it was it 3
Yeah.
It was 3 years ago now.
2023, he was the number 3 pick.
We were doing that mock draft. Yeah.
My gosh.
He's cleared. Riley Leonard, I think, is back. He's the backup quarterback. They're not going to go with him. So
let's go.
All right. We got Phil again.
So that's on.
It's really entertaining to watch.
That's on Monday night on WDAY. A couple things before we let you go. Bison basketball is awfully good.
Pretty good.
20-5 combined record here for both teams.
Good.
Huh?
Couple of big wins for NDSU women's basketball out in California. Kunin, 2 double-doubles over the last 2 games?
Avery's had 6 in a row going right now. So
that's not bad.
Is that good?
That's... I think you'll take that.
I know McFeely wrote about it today in the forum, and I hope once the calendar turns here, and obviously the Bison men have a game on New Year's Eve at 4 o'clock, which I'm really interested to see who comes to that. It's against South Dakota. That people come and watch these teams play.
Should.
They're pretty good.
They definitely should. It's. I think we said it on the show last week. You wouldn't think watching defensive basketball, at least on the men's side, would be entertaining. It's extremely entertaining.
The Bison men play,
Yes, it is. That's what it's fun to watch. The crowd against Crookston was great. You would hope that New Year's Eve is filled for South Dakota. Hopefully the weather's nice because that's going to be a really good game and a really good test. And, go check them out. And the women's basketball team as well. They're going to play on that Monday before against St. Mary's. But just to see them, they got 6 players that could really dominate on the floor.
Yeah, I'm just infinitely curious to see what they do once league play begins because there are teams in the bottom of it that are bad. So there are wins out there. It's just then against the top-end teams. Like with the Bison men, play St. Thomas in the middle of January. That's a big game. Bison women host the Jacks at late February. How's that going to go?
Right.
Is that for the league championship maybe? Who knows?
Very well could be.
Very well could be. It'd be nice to have it actually up for grabs because South Dakota State has clinched it on January 2nd over the last 4 years.
Right. Well, imagine the year if NDSU men can beat St. Thomas and the women can beat SDSU in the regular season. That's an all-time. That's an all-time year.
Yeah.
They're fun to watch. It's good. Go check them out if you get the opportunity to.
Before we go, who wins this weekend in the FCS? Who's playing in Nashville?
I definitely agree with you guys. Illinois State. I think they got all the pieces. I'm firm. I think Illinois State's going to make it there.
You picked them last week.
I did. Yep. I'm going to go with Montana State.
Okay.
I'll go with Montana State in that game again.
They're bringing out the heavy hitters. Apparently, Tommy Malot's going to be on the sideline in the game on Saturday.
Yeah,
so
good for him, man.
You were there. They were gutted last year.
Yep.
They thought that was their year to win it, and now they may have a chance here, but they got their biggest rival. We'll probably do this with a poll question tomorrow on the show. Is how much would you pay for a ticket for a sporting event?
How much?
Like if you would say the Colts are going to the Super Bowl, you can go. How much you say? Okay, this is my threshold. I will pay to go.
for me personally, because I'm not well with money, it would probably be I'd pay $500, but that I know that's
you're not going to the Super Bowl.
I know
with
that's not getting in,
$500.
so I would rather just go watch it in my own peace and quiet. Anything over a couple thousand, no.
I would if it was like the Mets had they not choked and made it to the World Series a couple years ago. I was fully ready to go. Yeah, I will spend what I need to go to see them play. Yes, or if the Jets somehow were to make it to the Super Bowl before I'm dead.
Yeah,
I'd love.
I can give you the answer for Logan Campbell with JMU because they're going to go play out in Eugene.
Yeah.
She saw the plane price, the ticket price.
I just saw one guy driving from Washington D.C. to Eugene.
She said it was like an $1,100 ticket to go to Eugene, and she said, "No, I'm not doing that." So no, I'm not going to pay a ton. I personally enjoy watching it. On TV, and I can enjoy that. But, I don't know. I don't know if I can go over 1,000.
Here's the decider. Eric, the Packers are making the Super Bowl. What would the price amount you would spend to go?
I don't think he's got a mic back there,
Oh, he could tell us in a headphone. You could tell it. Tell us anyway. What do you think? How much?
10,000.
Do you have $10,000?
Yeah, I was going to say, no, it was $10,000. For the Packers, maybe. He said it's once.
I would. Yeah,
he said he paid $325 to watch the Packers and Vikings. See, I would do that.
That's a Monday night regular season game. I'm not doing if it's one time, I would go to a Super Bowl. Yeah, I would prepare to spend $5,000.
Really? Must
my
be nice
wife's
to have
watching the show.
$5,000. I don't think I've ever seen $5,000 before. So no, my concept of that is no good. I know my $500 is never going to make it to the Super Bowl, but I don't think I'd go over that threshold for any game.
It would just for the one, yeah, I would say. Yep,
would you?
I would do it absolutely for that memory to go. Absolutely. So, before we go, here you go. The Gold Zone is coming back for the Winter Olympics. I don't know if you did you watch it for the Summer Olympics? It was very popular.
I did. It was
Paris.
pretty cool. It was pretty cool.
Apparently, Scott Hansen and Andrew Siciliano were back. Your guy Jack Collinsworth is back as well. You a big Jack Collinsworth fan?
That's Chris's son, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not a big Jack Collinsworth fan.
It's kind of a take it for
Nepo
what you will.
baby
Yeah,
big time winner
I'm
there.
okay. I don't know
Scott
how
Hansen and
I don't know
Siciliano
how
are really
I don't
good.
know how Jack got up there, but congratulations to him. But I'm okay.
I think we know how he got it.
Yep.
Hey, have a great holiday. I know you're going to be gone next week. So have a great holiday.
I'm going to
Merry
leave
Christmas.
tomorrow. Hopefully the wind calms down, and then I'll be gone for the week, and then I'll come back, and I'll be where you are.
Yeah, you're going to be here between New Year's and the first of the year. So have a great holiday. Say hi to your mom and dad for me.
I will.
Safe
I
travels.
will. It's going to be fun.
We'll see you in 2026.
Absolutely.
All right?
We'll see you next year.
Sam Goetzinger joining us each and every Thursday here. We come back. We'll wrap things up. Get you ready. We got a great Sports Thursday. It's a good day to be stuck inside. It's getting nasty out there, everybody. Back after this. All right, let's whip around here on the old tower cams. That's downtown, which you can see there's some more snow. It's going to look from Fargo that the wind is obviously whipping there. DL looks pretty serene. Low visibility there. That is Wahpeton, I'm told, allegedly. And obviously Grand Forks is socked in right now. And again, we're being told that will eventually come this way. So if you got to travel today, be safe. News is coming up here at the top of the hour and give you the full details of what is coming up. So we'll look forward to that coming here. Tomorrow on the big show, excited to have foreign reporter, former WDAY standout, Tracy Briggs will be here along with Brian Cole. They authored the new Moorhead hockey book. They'll be here in studio to chat about that. Anticipation, the Spuds playing Minnetonka on Saturday in boys hockey. We'll have that game for you on Extra, so that'll be coming up on the show tomorrow. Looking forward to that. All right, before we go, it's that time. Let's do some What to Watch before we get out of here. All right, What to Watch brought to us by our friends at Northwestern Mutual. NFL Week 16 begins tonight. Rams and the Seahawks, 7:15 on Amazon Prime. Slightly large game. First place in the NFC West. All that good stuff up for grabs tonight. We'll have highlights of that coming up on the show tomorrow. We've got another bowl game tonight. Arkansas State and Missouri State, our friends from Springfield, will play in the Xbox Bowl, 8 p.m. on ESPN2. And the Jackrabbit women take on Duke tonight, 6 o'clock on the ACC Network and also on ESPN+. Our thanks to Tom Wistrcill, to Kyle Grooms, and Sam Goetzinger. If you missed any of the show, you can podcast it later today at Inforum.com. You can watch a full replay of our show on WDAY+. Be safe out there, everybody. News coming up here at the top of the hour. We'll see you back here tomorrow on Hot Mic on WDAY Extra, KSFL, KMBN, and Inforum.com.